everybody, it's Kenzie Knox and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be painting this nice little festive Christmas painting that I thought you might enjoy. So it's a winter landscape, and to paint off with you'll need some titanium white, some Mars black, and some sap green. You'll need a size 20 filbert brush or any large filbert brush will do. So tapping into some titanium white and some Mars black, we're going to mix that up together to get a very pale light gray shade, and we're just going to cover our entire canvas. So just take a moment and we're going to basically gray shade our canvas, and since our canvas is mainly black and white, this will help create a mid-tone layer. Sorry, I know I'm covering the entire canvas with my palette right here, just ignore that fact. Just paint the entire thing in gray. And so once you're done that, you can go ahead and rinse out your brush and we can move on to the next step. But you want this to dry, so you can either dry with a hairdryer or let it air dry. So once it's dry, we're going to take our size 2 flat brush and we're going to dip into our titanium white and our Mars black and create a mid-tone gray shade. And we're going to start creating our bridge, which will be slightly lower than the halfway mark. So just create a little arc here that goes a little past the halfway mark horizontally and vertically as well. So it just arcs just a little bit, and then we're going to bring it back slightly and create a little arc here and go straight over, and then create another arc right here. And then once that's complete, we're going to take our gray shade and we're going to start creating little cobblestones. So we're going to do little like little streak marks here and there. And that light gray shade will be the cement between the cobblestones, so don't fill the entire thing in with this dark gray. We're going to take a lighter shade of gray. Now we're going to add some titanium white to that gray, make a light shade, and fill in some additional cobblestones. This is a very easy way to make a cobblestone-like look, and just creates the indication of little bricks. Once you're done with that, we're going to take some black and we're going to shade in half of the arc so that gives it a more 3D effect. And then we're going to take some gray, lighter gray, and then go over the entire arc itself, highlighting the arc. Now make it stand out just a little bit more, and then it'll look like the arc is coming out slightly. And I'm just fixing up some cobblestones over here real quick. So next we're just going to take some more of that lighter gray shade right there, you can see that. And we're just going to create a little, this is where the street is going to be, so snowbank. So we're just going to mark this in, map this out real quick. And below or to the right of the snowbank will be the water, and then to the left of it will be the street. But we want this part to be the more highlighted area, and then we'll later go over it, or not over it, but around it with a darker shade. I just highlighted the bridge right there, in case you're wondering. Going back to our size 20 filbert brush, we're going to create another gray shade, a light gray shade, take more of that paint, and just paint in our street, which will be smaller farther away from us and get wider as it comes towards us. And now I'm taking a darker shade of gray and rounding out that snowbank. So that's where the snowbank will be, or the base of the snowbank, and also where our street will begin. And so I'm just going to drag some of that gray upwards so that it looks like a wall sort of thing, and then fill back into the street with that lighter gray shade. Putting in another ramp or something you could call that, where the street ends. I'm just adding that in with a darker gray. Then taking a smaller size filbert brush, probably a size 4, and mixing in some black with some white, getting a lighter gray shade. We're going to start painting in our houses back here. So doing a straight line across, creating a little rectangle with a little roof, a little triangle here, and then a wall, and then a straight line across. And there's our first house. I'm going to paint some of that in a little bit. And then we're going to go into our second house, which will be slightly behind it. I'm drawing this line all the way across because there'll be two houses there and it's just easier to keep them straight across. And then there's the second house right there, our second shape. And then we'll have another house right next to it to the left of it. And we're just mapping these out. And we'll cover that line in between the houses, so don't worry about that. So just follow me along as I map out these houses. And then we'll have another little steeple sort of structure over here. That's a little farther behind the houses. So draw in that little shape like that, the triangle, the square, and then the line over. And then we'll have a little tower that goes above this area, that goes a little bit farther in from the edge of the house, and goes straight up, then over, little rectangle. And I'll have a little triangle in front of it, and that's the back of the little tower area, and the front of it. And then the little swoopy area on the top for the tower, top of the tower. I'm just going to add in some lines and a door and get rid of that little area in between the houses that we drew, that line. And then we're going to switch over to our large 20 filbert brush, grab up some medium gray tone, and we're going to start filling in some foliage behind the houses. So just take your brush and just tap in some foliage. This will be some trees in the background, but not too defined. We want them sort of blurry so that they're not very clear or distinct in shape or size. So we're just going to fill this in. Some of them going to the top of the canvas, some of them not. And I apologize because the very top of the canvas is kind of cut out in this frame. So continue filling that in until you're pleased with that. Now we're going to add a little more black and a little more white to create a little darker shade. And we're going to tap in a little brush up in the front. It's going to be a little bush area, so it's going to be darker in shade than the brush that we just painted out in the back, as the foreground should be darker and more contrasty in tone than the back, the farther back of the painting. Grab some more black, darker shade of gray. I'm going to tap in some more foliage. Then we add some white over it for some snow-like effects. Then switching back over to our small filbert brush, small round brush, we're going to draw in some twigs. So we're just going to draw in some stems for these bushes. Just some random stems in black. And then we're going to draw in some of our house characteristics, such as windows and doors. So in this house, we'll just have 2 windows and a chimney. And we're just mapping out our houses. Then on this house, we're going to have a window, and then a door and a window. And we're also going to create a little awning area. So a window over here, a window over here. And then on this house, we'll have a window here, a little door here, and a window here. Most of this will be covered, so don't worry too much if you're worried about the detail. And then a door over on our steeple with a little window up here on that little tower area, and a little window up here above the door. And then some other windows on the side of the steeple. And then a little door on this house right here in between the awning. Taking my size 6 filbert brush. This is a bristle brush. We're going to tap in the snow now. We're going to paint in the snow. I like using these types of bristle brushes. These are new. I just bought these and I'm very happy with them. They add texture and they allow you to make different types of strokes that you can't make with your softer paintbrushes, with your softer bristle paintbrushes. So I highly recommend purchasing them. They help you with creating foliage and grasses and just anything that has texture on them. So go ahead and add your snow to your top of your steeple. And once you're satisfied with that, we're going to add snow to the outside rims of the houses too. Then we switch to our size 4 filbert brush, or 4 bristle filbert brush. Grab some titanium white and some black and make a gray mixture. And we're just going to add some shadows and some colors to our houses back here. Make these a little bit darker as they're in the shade. Be careful when you're adding in these different gray shades. Make sure they're lighter or darker than the shades around them.
I know that they're just like mid-tones, but you don't want them to all blend in together where you can't tell the difference between one part of the painting and the other part. So just keep that in mind. If you need to go a little lighter, then go a little lighter. If you need to go darker, then go a little darker. You can always paint over the acrylic. Acrylic is very forgiving. It allows you to dry and paint right back over it. And then we're just going to add some shadow areas over here on the steeple. And we're only going to paint the right side of the steeple as that's in the shadow. Then we're going to leave the left part of the steeple in the sunlight. So rinse off your brush, grab some white and a little bit of gray. Again, very light gray shade. I'm going to paint in this house, which will be in the sunlight. Paint this light, but not titanium white, not flat titanium white. And also the steeple, the left side of the steeple. And go ahead and rinse off your brush. I'm going to tap into some black with a little bit of white, make a dark gray shade. And we're just going to tap in or paint in some shadows underneath the rooftops. And between the houses, just to make that stand out a little bit better. Then we're going to rinse off our brush, grab some more of that color, and just go in shadow underneath the houses to make that stand out a little bit better. Then we're going to switch over to our size 6 filbert brush, our bristle brush, and create some foliage, some bushes around the houses. I'm going to take some black and start creating a little evergreen tree back here between the houses in the foreground and the one right behind it. I'm going to take some more black and create some more brush back here, some bushes in front of the steeple. And then also we're going to add a little bit more white to that black, get a little lighter shade gray, create a little pathway from the steeple to like the houses, and maybe like a little path around towards the bridge, and maybe connecting that to the street area and over the bridge. Kind of like a rotary area is what we're aiming for. But make sure that street gets wider as it comes towards us. And I'm going to shadow in the area around the foliage at the bottom, which we will fix at the end, so don't worry too much about that. So just create some shadowy pathway areas, and then shadow in your foliage as well, underneath it with that gray shade. And then we're going to take a little bit of a lighter gray shade here and add some more foliage or brush to in front of these houses over here in the background. A lot of this will be covered again with the big Christmas tree in the center, so don't be too concerned about it. Then we're going to tap into some titanium white and add some snow-covered tops to these bushes. Just tapping them in with that filbert bristle brush. This is a great brush for texture. I really do highly recommend it. I think I bought a set of 6 of them or 5 of them for about $20. They're hog bristle brushes, just FYI. So now we're going to add some luminous lemon yellow and luminous yellow to our palette, which is warm and cool yellow. And I just did highlight that tree, that evergreen tree in the background too with snow. But we're going to mix some titanium white with some lemon yellow and some light luminous yellow, and we're going to add the light to the windows. So we're adding a little color now to our black and white painting, or our grayscale painting. And even add it to the door, as our door will be glass, I think. Rinsing our brush, we're going to take some titanium white and some Mars black, and we're just going to shade in the side of the tower that we fresh shade in. And a little bit downwards too. So some of that top tower area, keeping that left side a little bit lighter than the right side. Taking some more Mars black, making it a little bit darker. We're going to add some more shadows to underneath the brush areas. We don't want this black, but like a darker gray. And again, over by the bush area, we're going to move that little thing right there. Just paint this all in that darker gray so it matches the street colors. And then over here on the right side too, we're just going to add in some black and a little bit of white for our river. So we want this river to be very dark in color, but not black. The water should always be darker than your land or anything surrounding it. So we're adding in the shadowed areas. This painting actually reminds me of the Santa painting that I painted earlier, the time lapse. So if you're wanting to paint the Santa time lapse, you can use this as the base of your painting and then add in the Santa and the sleigh afterwards. So adding a little bit of a highlight to this area where the light will be hitting it. Adding some white in there, mixing it up with that gray color. And then highlighting in some of the water area where the light will be able to reach it, and same on this side of the underneath the bridge. Sorry about my hair in the way. I tried to pin it back, but I guess it's a little more wild than I thought. So make sure you're just doing horizontal strokes when you're doing the water. That's the main thing. Adding some more gray to the top of the area of the canvas just to shadow in some of this area around the Christmas tree. So the Christmas tree will be that little circular area in front of the houses that's not really shaded in, right? That circle right there will be where our big Christmas tree will be, like in the center of the little rotary area. So I'm just adding some more white to the tops of the tower and to the top of the chapel area or steeple. And in front of the houses too, or on top of the houses, just to make it a little more white, a little more snowy. Adding some white to the chimney to highlight it a bit, because the side of the chimney will be lit up and the right side will be darkened. Now we're going to paint our doors in black. Normally I paint my doors in red, so in a black and white scale painting that'll look more black than anything. And just darken up this path a little bit more. Just scumbling the paint a little bit. Then working on this little snow mound, we're going to just darken in the side of it so it looks like it's just piled up high. And then highlighting over top of the bridge so it looks like there's snow layer on top of the bridge. Taking some more white, I'm just going to add some snow caps to little these little areas over here, these little openings of the bridge that let the water through. I'm blanking on the name of them right now, but these little arches, that's what I'm looking for. So just adding some snow to the arches, little blotchy snow areas. And once you're done with that, rinse off your brush. We're going to tap into that luminous yellow and lemon yellow again, that color again, and fill in our windows so they're a little bit brighter in color and intensity. I really want these saturated so they stand out. And I'm just using a little filbert brush right now, a size 2 nylon filbert brush. So it is important to have your nylon filbert brushes or your natural filbert brushes and your hog bristle brushes. So now taking my size 20 hog bristle brush, my filbert brush, I'm going to dip into some Mars Black and some Sap Green to create a dark green color, and we're going to create our Christmas tree. So starting almost at the top, not the top though, we're just going to draw a little line down. Make sure you don't drag the bristles down or also change the shape of your bristles, so just tap it down if you wish to. You don't have to though, but now we're just going to start off small and start tapping in our brush going down, or our tree going down. You can use a fan brush if you wish. I just chose to use my new bristle brush because I was excited to use all these brushes. And you can make it as thin or as wide as you want, but I wanted it to cover mainly most of that circular area. And I know it looks like about right now I'm going to the top of the canvas, but I'm actually about an inch down from the top of the canvas. But you can go to the top if you wish to, but I wanted to add a little bit of a star on top that glows, so I did not go to the top of my canvas. And fill that in as much as you'd like. So switching off to our smaller size filbert brush, I'm just filling in the gray areas, the shadowy gray areas that were not filled in prior. Okay, so now rinse off your brush, grab some Mars Black and some titanium white, creating a very dark shadow area. And we're going to shadow in around our little Christmas tree area. Almost going all the way around it, but obviously not all the way around it. Then once you're done with that, add some light blue violet to your palette and rinse off your brush and grab some light blue violet. And we're going to begin adding some snow-covered patches to our tree. And we want it very patchy, so I would not recommend using a fan brush, although you can if you'd like to, but I wanted this to make it look like the branches were going in all sorts of different directions. So I'm just tapping in bunches I guess you could say, I'm filling out my filbert brush and just tapping in bundles of paint all around and in different directions all over my Christmas tree. And I'll speed this up because this took quite a while actually, so take your time when doing this, or you can do it quickly, whatever you'd like. It's up to you about how much detail you want. Just remember that you want kind of areas that will show the green and the black through the blue areas. So it will also have some lights that are coming through and shining off of the blue patchy areas. So you want the green to show through, you want the lights to show through, so don't cover your entire tree with this light blue violet color. And so once you're done with that and adding a little snowbank around your tree, we're going to rinse off our brush, grab some titanium white with some luminous yellow and luminous lemon, and we're going to add in some patchy areas of light. So like these will be like the little light bulbs on the tree that are just shining through the branches as well as under the snow patches. So rather than little circular shapes that we normally create, these are just going to be little areas that are filled in between the little snow patches and the branches. So load up your brush with the paint and then just paint in between the blue areas, making sure not to mix in the colors because your paint is going to be very wet at this point, but just try to fill in where the green areas show through, not over the blue areas. So we don't want green light. Even though the tree is green, just don't mix up the colors. Oh, I just added some snow on top of the chimney over here too, and we're just gonna add a little smoke. We're gonna allow that paint to dry a little bit more before adding on our next shade of color. So now we're gonna add some little bit of snow caps to the windows on the steeple as well as the houses. So this is just areas that is catching the snow, both on top and bottom of the windows on some of them, and then some more snow to the bushes in front of the house as well. And then we're going to shadow in the steeple area and some of the windows, adding some more trim, but mainly the shadows under the rooftops and the windows. And you can use a round brush, a flat brush, or even, an angular brush. And if you're really more comfortable with it, you can use a filbert brush as well. Careful for the wet paint. I'm having a little issue right here. I like to stabilize my finger with my pinky, or my hand with my pinky, but I can't because the paint is wet. But anyways, I'm adding trim to my windows, so I'm just adding some vertical and horizontal lines, just to add a little something to them. Using a little round brush with a very light pressure. The lighter the pressure, the thinner the line. That's what we're going for. And if you mess up, it's really okay. We'll probably go back over these windows with a little more of that luminous yellow paint. And then adding a little bit more shadow to this area of the bridge, and then the pathways as well, just scumbling off what's left on my paintbrush. Adding a little highlight to the snowbanks around the pathways. So it looks like the pathways are dipped down and the snowbanks are built up. And going around the bank of the Christmas tree as well. And then we're going to add a little highlight to the top of the bridge again. And then we're going to add some Mars Black back to the bush down below to show in our branches. And then adding some luminous pink to our palette, we're going to create some luminous pink lights to our Christmas tree. So add some white to the luminous pink, and we're going to go back to making some splotchy patches on our Christmas tree in between those blue areas, just randomly throughout the Christmas tree, trying to make it semi-even, but not too even that it looks like it's a pattern. But you can add this in as much or as little as you'd like. That one I went a little bit darker on the pink. You can go lighter or darker on the pink. It's really up to you and your the feeling that you want. This is going to basically be our only colored area besides the window color and the light. So make it as colorful as you'd like. So now we're adding some light permanent green to our palette, and we're just going to take that straight up as is and add this into various colors or various areas of the tree. And so this can be the lit up green patches of the tree, or it can be highlights or light bulbs to the tree. It can be whatever you'd like, but make sure you don't cover up all the darkness on that Christmas tree that we want. We need shadows as well as highlights. We need that contrast. And I'm just tapping this paint in. Just tap, tap, tap. And then once you're done with that, rinse off your brush, grab a little bit more of that light blue violet, and you can add in some more patchy blue areas if you feel like you didn't add enough, or if you feel like you need to layer it up a little bit more for it to stand out more. This will be our snow color, so there will not be white on the tree, so just keep that in mind. Once you're done with that, rinse off your brush, grab some luminous yellow and titanium white, and we're going to add our little star on top of the tree that you can't see, and I apologize. Just add a little bit of a circle on the top of it, and we're just going to go around and around and around, letting the paint come out of our brush to make it look like it's really lit up and light. And then adding some more luminous yellow and titanium white, we're just going to go over some of the yellow areas on our Christmas tree to make them stand out just a little bit more bright. Then once you're done with that, rinse off your brush, grab some titanium white and some warm luminous yellow, and we're going to actually add some light to the water area where the light will be shining off from the windows. So as you notice, I'm dragging my brush downward. For me, this was easier than dragging it the other way, so I'm holding my brush above where I'm painting it, and then over here I'm dragging it down because that was just easier that way. But either way is fine, and there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's whatever you feel more comfortable with and where your brush is working best. So now taking some more dark gray, I'm just shadowing some of these archways a little bit more just to make them stand out and add some shadows. And I'm also shadowing underneath the snow top on the bridge as well, just a little bit more to make it stand out. And then taking that same color, we're just going to add some more shadows to the rooftops, under where the snow is, and just wrapping up some final details of this painting before calling it done. And then one more little thing we're going to do is take some titanium white, luminous yellow warm, and add some highlights to the snow that's in front of the windows. So I want to make sure that we cover those little bushes with some light that's coming from the windows. And so now this painting is done, and I hope you really enjoyed this YouTube tutorial. I know I have. Please remember to like this video and to subscribe for further videos coming forward. So until next time, I'll see you guys later. Okay, bye.